Good morning, disc golfers, and welcome to the Morning Mando. This is your daily dose of everything disc golf delivered fresh to keep your passion for the chains alive. Today is August 27th, 2025, and just to give you a little insight, we're going no script tonight, folks. So let's see how this goes. We'll see. In today's episode, we'll talk a little bit more about a couple fun stats and a couple fun highlights of Idlewild. We'll talk a little bit of tour life recap. Where they had Paul McBeth on. We'll talk about a new podcast coming back right on scene. And we'll talk about a couple different deals coming up. First things first, let's talk about Idlewild. Idlewild was still a wild weekend. Just to do a little bit of a recap of Paul McBeth winning by 1 over Gannon Buhr. Colruyt Allen finished in third at 30 under. Kyle Klein finished 27 under. In fourth and fifth, we have Chris Dickerson, Calvin Heimberg, Raven Newsom, all at 26 under. And we got Andrew Miranda at 24, and Gavin Babcock, and Colin Bryant, and Simon Lizotte, and Kevin Jones, all rolling out in the top 10, or technically the top, tied for 13th and higher. Notable other players that finished, like we just mentioned, Kevin Jones finishing in the top 10. Really good to see Kevin up there. A couple other stats we want to talk about real quick. I saw today that there was 50-something eagles at this event all weekend long over 3 events. That is crazy. Gannon alone eagling hole 16 3 days in a row. Absolutely crazy. A lot of people have been talking, I've been seeing all over social media about what are we going to do about Idlewild, because people are starting to feel like it's getting a little too fluky. According to some foreshadowing of Paul Ulibarri and Brodie Smith and Gary on Tour Life. So what's going to happen with Idlewild? Are they going to make it longer, or what are they going to do? Are we going to skip Idlewild? I don't think that's possible, because Idlewild is an iconic spot, and personally it's one of my favorite spots to go to. So I don't think that is going to be in the cards for them, to say the least. But you never know what could happen. So just a couple different highlights, a couple different stats to bring up about Idlewild. But I know a lot of people were looking forward to Paul McBeth's first time being on Tour Life. So just a couple things that I took away from that podcast. I listened to it for the majority of what Paul had to say. And if you guys know, Brodie and Paul have a weird history where they had a personal disagreement, about 3 years ago or so, where they pretty much have not spoken to one another, is what Brodie alluded to on Tour Life tonight. So Brodie wanted to, what did he call it? Point out the elephant in the room, which was they haven't spoken to each other in many years, and they have no issues with each other as players. And Brodie, I think, was trying to clear the air, and in my opinion, it sounded like Paul was just happy to be there and ready to answer any questions that came his way. So a couple good pieces of conversation, talking about how Paul did over the weekend, also talking about what it's like to be a new dad and have a family and manage practice time with family. They were asking him, was McBeast a real thing when it came to putting? And one of the funny things that I thought was interesting is that Paul didn't immediately agree with it, but he also stated that he felt like he could make it from anywhere. But he said he felt like his range has gotten longer as he's gotten older now. But Paul Ulibarri also agreed that, yes, he never missed when he had a putter in his hand. But Paul said that he had practiced a lot. That's all he ever did back in his 20s was practice putting. He really enjoys practice putting, and he doesn't get a chance to do that as much with all the different things he has going on. So I thought that was quite interesting that he shared with us with that. Also talked about some specific things that happened on the course. Nothing too exciting to really bring up, in my opinion. But it sounded like overall it was a good interview. Hopefully Paul comes back on for any other various issues or anything else that he would like to discuss. But it's always good to hear from Paul McBeth, aka the GOAT, about his opinions about what he's going on in his life. And as a lot of people alluded to in a couple group chats I was in, this was great for disc golf to see these two guys kind of put the sword down and just have a good chat about Paul's win over Idlewild this past weekend. So, another exciting piece of news that we need to report on is a very, very, very special podcast is coming back. Brian Earhart will be bringing back the Flight Diaries very, very soon. So, super exciting. He announced it on his Instagram. If you haven't watched or listened to the Flight Diaries, Brian does a great job of sitting down, or he did have a podcast where he sit down with pros and just talk about all of the things about growing up in disc golf for an individual and where they were in their career. Phenomenal interviews. He's done some really good ones. I'm trying to remember which one I liked the most. If I remember by the end of the show, I'll come back and I'll mention it. But all the ones were very good, including a Paul McBeth episode is on there as well. So, a couple other things that we can bring up to your date. We did talk about the Zone SS a few days ago, but now it is officially on FoundationDisc.com for pre-order right now. I think that was $14.99 is what it was, so a pretty good price for that. If you don't know what that is, it's a zone that flies like it's a beat-in. It's got flight numbers of 44 -12. Looks really good. I'll probably end up getting one. I think we'll all probably end up getting one so we can try it at some point in time. So go check that out on Foundation's website and also other varying websites. Other things that we want to report on is it looks like Udisc has done a poll or a survey about disc golf brands. So I just want to report on some of the reporting that they had on their websites. Let me bring that up for you guys. So it looks like they have best disc golf plastic, top 5 brands. You want to take a guess who's number 1? It is number 1 is MVP. It looks like they were in the number 2 slot, and it looks like they jumped up to the number 1 slot. Castaplast is number 2, Latitude 64 is 3, Innova 4, and Discraft is 5. I'm not quite sure regarding other brands like Discmania right off the top of my head, or Prodigy, but it looks like they're not on this list. Now, they also did one for best mold consistency in disc golf, and it looks like it came right out to be the same exact result, except it looks like Discraft jumped up to number 4. So you got MVP 1, Castaplast 2, Latitude 64 3, Discraft 4, Innova 5. To me, this sounds really sweet results with Castaplast being the best mold consistency. I don't know about that, but who are we to argue with the survey regarding all of this piece of information? And it looks like if you combine the scores with the best plastic and the consistency, it would be MVP, Castaplast, Latitude 64, Discraft, and then Innova. Quite interesting. You can go on their website and check out these scores so you can see about different things they have. They have the best disc golf brand customer service, marketing and branding, online presence, and pro teams. So you can go on to Udisc website and check out that survey that they did in the community. So I think that's about wraps up our show. There is a lot of deals going on out there. I've announced a couple of the last couple of days. Lure bags for $180. You can go over to infinitedisc.com and get clearance section of $10 or less. I did see some PDs on there, I believe, for $10 or less. There's a couple other things on various discs that you can get, but there's tons and tons and tons of good deals out there. So before you buy something full price, make sure you go out there and you check out to see if someone else is offering it for a cheaper price. So that about wraps up the Morning Mando for today. The ultimate quick hit to fuel your disc golf obsession. New episodes drop every Monday through Friday at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so set that alarm clock. Stay in the loop. Thanks for tuning in. Throw some aces out there. And remember, every shot's a story. See you on the fairway. And go smash that like button. Subscribe. Put down a comment below. What do you think about Paul McBeth's weekend? Is Paul McBeth back on top? Or is Gannon still number 1? See you later.